going on with y'all? It's your boy Neo XO, and today I'm gonna be talking about Black Clover chapter 268. Before we get too deep into it, leave a like and subscribe. But jumping straight into it, this chapter was probably one of my most favorite chapters that I've ever read. Honestly, this was a really good chapter, and it was well worth the wait for us to finally get the anti-magic devil's backstory. I really enjoyed his backstory. Asta saying that just because somebody's a devil doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad guy. It gave the anti-magic devil a flashback to the woman that we see at the end of last chapter. So this flashback is pretty much his backstory. So basically, devils are born into the underworld, and pretty much a lot of people theories that they had about the underworld were actually correct. A lot of people were theorizing that in the underworld that there is a hierarchy, and it's not really a theory so much as it was pretty much stated, and people were theorizing that the anti-magic devil was kind of the lowest of that society, if you can even call it a society. But they were making this parallel because Asta is pretty much the lowest of society because Asta doesn't have any magic. And same thing with the anti-magic devil, he does not have any magic either, so that automatically put him at the bottom of the devil pecking order. Now at the top we have the devils like Lucifero, who are more powerful, and they pick on and bully and torture devils that are below them. And considering the anti-magic devil was all the way at the bottom with no magic, he basically got picked on by literally everyone. Even devils that were getting picked on by higher devils were picking on the anti-magic devil. This makes a lot of sense to me because the anti-magic devil is seen multiple times to hate devils, and this backstory literally makes everything a lot more clear. We see why the anti-magic devil hates other devils. For instance, whenever Asta went berserk, the anti-magic devil was going berserk also, and pretty much going crazy with anger, fighting against Dante and Lucifero. The anti-magic devil actually had a run-in with Lucifero in this flashback chapter, so that explains a lot. I really like the connection that was made there. For the most part, after last chapter, a lot of people were theorizing that the woman shown in that chapter was, to be specific, chapter 267, the woman shown at the end of that chapter was Asta's mother. I even got behind that theory a little bit because it made sense, you know, but I had my doubts, and the reason I had my doubts is just Tabata doesn't do anything obvious. So the woman actually turned out to be the anti-magic devil's mother. So instead of Asta's mother, it turns out to be the anti-magic devil's mother, and I like this better. I honestly like this better. So it does give you, it answers one question, but then it gives you another question. So if that woman's not Asta's mother, who's Asta's mother? And you know, so we got the answer who that woman was. She's definitely the anti-magic devil's mother, and we get the anti-magic devil's name in this chapter. That's pretty cool too. So that tells me right there that we're gonna get a lot more from the anti-magic devil, because he's actually talking, he's opening up, he's having memories, flashbacks, and I really like that. I really like that because he's a cool character, you know, especially now that he has a backstory. So basically what happens is the way he became in the grimoire is really explained in this chapter. He basically got into the human world because, of course, they were torturing him, and one of the devils threw him at the gate. And because he didn't have any magic, he was able to go straight through the gate into the human world from the underworld. Nobody was pretty much expecting that because devils are pretty much in their world. They're in the underworld. That's where they dwell, you know. But a lot of devils like to pick on and torture other devils, creatures, whatever you call it, or whatever they may get their hands on. And their favorite thing to torment is humans. So most of the devils want to go to the human world to torment humans. And the anti-magic devil gets to the human world and he doesn't even want to torment humans. I guess he even doesn't know why. He says that it might be because he's so beat up, or maybe he just doesn't have an interest in, you know, tormenting humans. But unfortunately, we all know how citizens of the Clover Kingdom can act, and just because he was a devil, they also tormented him almost to the point of death. And that's when this woman found him. Her name is Lysita. So basically she found him, and her magic has the ability to store things away. She ended up storing the anti-magic devil in a bottle and bringing him back to be nurtured to health. Now, under normal circumstances, she would not have been able to do this because she absorbs people's magic. It kind of reminds me of Henry. She absorbs people's magic and they cannot be around her because they can possibly die. So she actually, this is a big coincidence, she actually found a 5-leaf Clover grimoire, and that's the grimoire that Asta currently owns. And I really like how all these connections are being made. Like, this chapter was needed. I know that a lot of chapters leave you with a lot of questions, but this one answered a lot of questions and made a lot of the story make sense. And I really enjoyed this chapter. It was just really, really good. Basically, the grimoire that Asta possesses now is the grimoire that Lysita had found. And basically, you know the legend, pretty much within the 5th leaf dwells a devil. You know, that's how the saying goes in the Clover Kingdom. And pretty much this was a kind-hearted woman, and she nurtured the anti-magic devil back to health. And she pretty much was not afraid of him just because he was a devil. And she said something very similar to Asta, that just because he's a devil does not mean that he is in fact a bad person. So Lysita ends up taking the anti-magic devil in for good and becoming his mother and raising him as her own son. So basically Lysita adopted the anti-magic devil, and basically that's how Lysita and the anti-magic devil's relationship is. It's a mother and son relationship. So it seems like Lysita was a very good person, and the anti-magic devil and Lysita pretty much had a very good relationship. It was just like a mother would be. So speaking on some other things related to the anti-magic devil, his name is actually Leeb. I'm pretty sure that's somewhat how you pronounce it. I'll wait for the Funimation and Viz translations, but for right now, Leeb, that's his name. So basically, he's not Astaroth. A lot of people were theorizing that he was Astaroth, so we have confirmation that that theory is not going to be the case because that's not his name. His name is Leeb, and he's actually a nobody, because a lot of people were saying, what if the anti-magic devil is actually like high in the devil rankings? But I like this backstory better. He's pretty much a nobody in the human world and in the underworld. So everything was going good one day, and basically Lucifero attacks, and Lucifero is kind of jealous that this nobody devil gets to be in the human world, but Lucifero has to stay in the underworld. And in this chapter it said that Lucifero is one of the higher devils. Now, the fact that they didn't say that Lucifero is the highest devil, that leads me to believe that there might be a devil out there, or devils out there, who are actually stronger than Lucifero, because we don't really know, because we haven't really learned everything about the underworld and their hierarchy. Now, we know Lucifero is pretty high up just from his name alone, but we don't know if he's the absolute highest. Now, it's a possibility that he can be, but the line that he's one of the higher devils, it leads me to believe that there are devils who are equal in strength to Lucifero, or possibly even stronger. So pretty much Lysita did everything she could to fight off Lucifero whenever he came trying to find a way into the human world, and because of her magic, she pretty much sent him away as much as possible. But unfortunately, it did take her life. And what she ended up doing was, since she has magic that can store things, she pretty much stored the anti-magic devil inside of the grimoire. So a long time went by, and by the time that the grimoire was found by Asta, the anti-magic devil had grown up and got stronger. So that's basically how Asta's 5-leaf grimoire came to be. And that's pretty much how the anti-magic devil got into the 5-leaf grimoire. That's how the flashback occurred when Asta and Leeb were actually fighting against Dante and Lucifero. So this flashback was actually from the anti-magic devil remembering his last memories with his mother. So basically, this is why the anti-magic devil hates the rest of the devils, His name is Lieb. Pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. And this is an amazing backstory. I'm not going to lie. Now, I'm going to have to make some follow-up videos because now this is leading into more things for me to talk about and discuss and theorize about. This was an absolutely amazing chapter, and I want to keep this video pretty much just about the chapter. So subscribe if you're not already. I'm gonna have some theories coming out about this and some discussion videos. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video on the chapter, and if you did, go ahead and leave a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. As always, it's been your boy NeoXO, and I'm out.